Hi, I'm astrologer Penny Deeks, and welcome to my midweek Astro Witter. So, what am I going to witter about today? Well, we will find out. But first of all, how has the full moon total lunar eclipse in Pisces that happened on Sunday, the 8th of September, how has that played out? Not just on the world stage, but for you. Let me know if you've had in the chat any significant full moon eclipse moments, like something coming to a significant change, end, or maybe you have made a very big decision about something. But I'd be interested to see how it's playing out for you. And remember, the energy of these eclipses can last for up to 6 months, but the immediate what's the word? The immediate kind of shaking of the foundations of what might change will be felt over the next couple of weeks, really taking us up to that new moon solar eclipse. It's just a partial solar eclipse in Virgo on the 21st of September, which comes just before the sun slips into slips into Libra, and the autumn equinox. So we are in the midst of some very interesting and shifting energies. Now, I just want to point out the things that have unfolded from, I believe, the energy of the full moon lunar eclipse energy. Now, last week on the Thursday, I think it was, and that's nearly a week ago now, we did see in the UK that the Duchess of Kent, who is a very senior and long, hard-working member of the British royal family, sadly passed away. She was 92, so she had a good innings, but the proximity of her passing to the full moon eclipse really says and screams eclipse energy, followed the following day by the resignation of the Deputy Prime Minister in the United Kingdom, Rachel Reeves, who, have I got it? No, Angela, oh God, I'm getting all their names wrong. Well, you know who I mean. Put answers in the chat. But anyway, you see, I can't even remember her name already. No, Rachel, of course, is she is the finance person, so she's the Chancellor. So, and oh God, what was her name? Tell me in the chat. I just can't remember. Anyway, of course, she had to resign. Now, what's interesting is then this started almost a ball rolling very fast down a hill, taking with it the Prime Minister of France. That was just after the eclipse energy. And also the Prime Minister in Japan had to step down. I don't know what's going on out there. And there was an awful lot going on in Nepal, where they had a complete news blackout and social media blackout as they brought down the Nepalese Prime Minister. And I believe there were some fatalities in the riots that ensued leading up to that. So we can see that there is this huge surge of the people wanting change. And this so much reflects not just the energy of the lunar eclipse, but Uranus that turned retrograde in Gemini on Saturday the 6th. That pivotal point when one of these massive mega outer planets slows down and says, right, I need to go back and tidy up what I hadn't quite finished in the sign of Taurus. So remember, we may see over the next few months a slight tightening and restriction happening within the world economy and the financial markets and the stock markets, especially as Saturn is retrograde, because that constricts and restrains and contains. And of course, it's moved back into Pisces. So we may see some of that happening, a kind of contraction in everything as we head towards winter and the end of the year. So what else did I want to point out to you at the moment? Well, we have this ongoing mini grand trine. It's a trine between Uranus retrograde in Gemini. Well, it's trining actually. It's a trine and two sextiles. Let me get this right. So the trine is between Uranus and Pluto, still retrograde in Aquarius, and they are virtually exact. Now we're going to have this energy for a long time. And I mean, not just a few months. I'm talking about a couple of years. We are going to have this energy. Is this good or is it bad? Well, actually, I think it's going to be rather helpful, because remember, trines are helpful. However, we have to be careful, and so do people in general. We have to be careful that we don't sit back on our laurels and just expect everything to unfold beautifully, because we still have to take action. Now, because both these planets in their respective signs can indicate things to do with technology and artificial intelligence, I think we are just going to see the unfolding, the kind of almost like a tsunami of things coming out of different ways of working with AI, that it is going to be difficult to keep up with it. Because Pluto transforms. It also brings in new beginnings, but sometimes painful endings and letting go. As I'm saying that, I'm thinking about Elon Musk, because he is about to launch a competitive new app that will rival WhatsApp and X. And of course, I can't remember its name. You might have seen the news about this. It's not been around long, but he is supposed to be starting this new app for us to communicate with, which will have excellent security, and people will not be able to hack you, trace you, anything like that. And I think that is the problem today with the awareness that we have that free speech is somewhat eroded in general in most areas of the world. And that even on platforms like YouTube, one still has to be mindful of the subjects we talk about, cover, and what we say. And I think we are reaching a tipping point where it will tip back towards perhaps more realistic ways of behaving, and a recognition that it really has gone too far. And I wonder whether the Saturn-Neptune conjunction next February on the 20th in the world aspect, the world angle, the 0 degree of Aries, will be that tipping point where everybody is just so angry that we cannot make a comment on social media that has anything in any way that sounds inflammatory. I understand about slander and libel, and of course we have to protect ourselves, and we can't just be put up there in the public eye to be ridiculed and criticized. But what happened to debate? What happened to taking one of the topics that is, say, a no-go area nowadays, like, say, looking at racial prejudice? What has happened that we cannot look at it and try and understand where people's feelings are coming from? Now, before I get myself caught down a rabbit hole, I'm going to swiftly move on from that. But if you have any thoughts on free speech, let me know in the chat. I'd be really interested to know what you think and whether the world has gone completely barking mad or whether it's absolutely a jolly good thing and we should be careful what we say. I think somewhere it has to be somewhere in the middle of that. And I'm just wondering whether the Neptune-Saturn conjunction, which we're already in the energy of, even if it is out of sign, which means Saturn is in Pisces, Neptune is still in Aries. But I just wonder, because the last time these two got together was in Capricorn in 1989, which saw the culmination of a lot of fervent feeling, which brought about the ending of the Cold War and saw the collapse and the fall of the Berlin Wall. Now, I wonder whether the wall that has been built through wokeism will start to be deconstructed to a more realistic level over the next few months, culminating in maybe some huge stance that people take at the beginning, or rather the end of next February, going into the spring. But what about the rest of the energy this week? Well, I've wittered on about all of that because actually, you know, we don't want any more strident energies going on this week. It's enough that we're still in the lunar eclipse energy. Now, what I do want to talk about is an aspect, a nice aspect that happens on the 13th, which is Saturday. And this will be Mercury, our planet of communication, of thought, of ideas. It's in Virgo, the sign it rules, along with, of course, now Chiron, remember, also rules Virgo. And remember, Mercury also rules Gemini, where Uranus has just gone retrograde. So we have to kind of think of all these energies that are shifting, moving around. Now, the Sun in Virgo on Saturday the 13th is conjunct Mercury, which means Mercury has moved into the whole of the aura and the energy of the Sun, which is our soul, the heart of our solar system, that beating heart. And the lovely thing about this energy, this Mercury conjunct the Sun in Virgo, I think, is of what it represents, because I think that we will maybe see information being made available about new ways to enhance our health care and health services, so that perhaps with the national health system in the UK, we may see some shifts in energy around that bring in some hope and optimism for improvements to be made, because Virgo, of course, is about health. It's about the body, and it's about also our mind. And I think it's just going to show that more attention is going to be given to mental health, support for people that go through trauma, and support for people that go through difficult, challenging times when they have loved ones in the health system who are going through very difficult, challenging, healing modes. And that may be something that is quite general worldwide, that we will see an emphasis or a focus on health in general. And we may see information coming into the public domain about, you know, there's been this great debate about all the vaccines. And, you know, I'm staying completely neutral on this. I was a child born in the 50s, so I was given all my jabs, all my vaccines, which meant I didn't get smallpox, I didn't get tuberculosis. I did get mumps, but there were no vaccinations against mumps in those days. I never got chickenpox. I did when I was in my 30s, but only very mildly. And I never got any of the other, I think I did get measles, but I think now you can be vaccinated against these. Now I know I'm stirring up a hornet's nest of thinking about and around vaccines, but what I'm thinking about is that Saturn back in Pisces, the sign of medicine and vaccines, anything like that, anything that we can't touch. Saturn putting down restriction, rules, containment, because of course we're coming up in the Northern Hemisphere to flu season. And dare I say it, the C word, not the C word, but the C word that, well, there are probably two C words we can't talk about, but the C word where we need a vaccine. But there's also a C word where they are developing a vaccine, which could be very interesting. But I think we're going to see more of that information coming out in the public domain whilst Mercury is in Virgo and whilst it's conjunct the Sun. So even though it's at the weekend, I do think we're going to see something coming up around that energy. And I think it's going to be highlighted by the fact that Jupiter in Cancer, which of course is about the home, mother, nurturing and care, is sextiling Saturn and, the Sun and Mercury. So this is a really helpful energy. And it's highlighting the need, I think, for people to really think very carefully, do their own research, and try not to get caught down rabbit holes where people are talking about the positive and negative side of having your babies protected against these horrible illnesses. Please go to reputable sources. Do your research in a good way, because all I'm saying is that the generation I'm from, I think we are stronger and healthier because of the way we were looked after in the 50s and 60s. I don't have to be right. I know I'm being controversial, but, you know, controversy and healthy dialogue on both sides is really important. So I don't know why I've gone off down this rabbit hole, because it's not what I expected. And I think that we have to remember also, if we look at the actual astronomy of the astrology, it's called a superior conjunction when Mercury conjuncts the Sun at the moment, because it's direct and it's actually moving faster than the Sun. So it whips past, and it really will bring some clarity and illumination of thought. Remember, the Sun is about our consciousness. It's kind of connecting with the mind and thinking part of Mercury, our speech and our communication, and making our insights and decisions sharper. We may have real aha light bulb moments. We will find that we can be more analytical, precise, discerning, focused on detail. We will be good next weekend or this weekend at editing, problem solving, health routines, at looking at all practical ways to communicate. And so when Mercury is cazimi the Sun, it's called an inferior or an interior conjunction, but this one is a superior conjunction. So it's really good for launching new projects. And I think because it's sitting between the two eclipses, the Pisces full moon lunar eclipse and the Virgo new moon partial solar eclipse, it's like a point of balance to look at what has needed to be released through the energy of the lunar eclipse to what we can bring in and invite in and put renewed energy into when we have that 29-degree angle of solar eclipse new moon on the 21st of September. So I think in general, this weekend is going to see all of us in a position where we start to get a better sense of the patterning of things, of how things are beginning to unfold, because I think we've been through periods of quite a lot of uncertainty, feeling a bit stuck. And the energy this weekend is really good for making schedules and plans and timetables, also launching new projects. And if now this conjunction between the sun, I'll get it right in a minute, the sun and Mercury is at 20 degrees and 54 minutes. Now remember, if you have your sun, moon, or one of your angles like the MC, IC, descendant, ascendant at 20 degrees of Virgo, this will make more sense to you. It will be significant. So even if you can't think what that might be concerning, it may be good to spend some time on Saturday reflecting, looking at what's brought you to this point, what you want to bring into your life which hasn't manifested yet, and look at what you can do going forward as we go into autumn to bring that into some kind of more concrete reality. So, yes, I think that's probably all I want to say about Mercury conjunct Sun in Virgo. It really is quite laser focused. We can really have good sight this weekend. I think we can see through the mist that has been floating around from the Pisces lunar eclipse. You know, here in Gozo, I made the effort, went down to Hondok, where there's this little sort of small beach and little, you know, paved area, to watch the eclipse behind a bank of cloud. And I thought, well, at least I'm here. I am in the energy. Clearly some things still have to remain hidden, so I have to trust the process of that. Now, what I did today was ask good old ChatGPT for some uplifting quotes on inspiration, to look at how we can, is this what I did? Yes, it is, isn't it? I did, where is it? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. So these are inspiration to sort of help us be full of creativity, courage and hope, and how to best use this Sun conjunct Mercury energy. So for an inner spark, to get that inner spark fired up, Pablo Picasso, the wonderful modern artist, said, inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. So in other words, nothing is achieved if we don't put energy towards it. You know, there's that saying, energy goes where attention flows. things happen where you put your focus. Focus on what you want to manifest. Thomas Jefferson said, the glow of one warm thought is to me worth more than money. And that's true. And you know, if we start off each day full of warmth, full of good feeling, sending out gratitude to the universe for waking up, that's a gift. It's a huge gift that we take for granted. But wow, here we are, fresh on a new day. Jack London said, you can't wait for inspiration. You have to go after it with a club. Well, of course, that's what Neanderthal did, didn't they? They thought, she's nice, I want that one, and banged her over the head with his club and dragged her off by the hair into his cave. And there we go. So I'm not suggesting we do that. But what about growth and potential? Because Norman Vincent Peale said, shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. And that's so true. Peter Drucker said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. Because remember, we create our reality in every next second. And we can create the energy we want for the day ahead. And if we start out with good intent and good feeling, and if problems come our way, we think, okay, this has come to challenge me. How can I find the best and most positive way to deal with this, instead of, oh God, not something else going wrong? Because the universe will respond to our frequency. If you're like, oh God, something else has gone wrong, the universe thinks, oh, she likes it when things go wrong. Let's give her more of that. Whereas if you go, you're presenting me with a challenge, are you today, universe? I can soon sort this out. Then the universe will think, oh, okay, well, let's give her things that she can sort out easily. You see, in one way, it's so simple. And William James said, act as if what you do makes a difference. It does. It's like the butterfly theory, isn't it? You know, that when a butterfly takes off in Japan on one of those wonderful cherry blossom trees, and it flutters up and it stirs the energy, the wind. They say a thunderstorm creates over America. I love that analogy. And if we look at flow and courage, Mark Twain says, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. Now that is a great truth. You don't do things tomorrow. You do them today. You know, running my business since 2020, in the midst of COVID, when I launched this channel, was one of the best things I could have done to empower me for the rest of my life. And it doesn't matter what your choice is, but to be passionate about something, to want to get up every day because, oh, I want to check out the astrological energy of the day ahead. That's what drives me. And what it has done for me is I have had to find the discipline to get up, dress, shower, make up, and show up. Because otherwise I will let myself down, because if I stop doing what I'm doing, all the energy and effort I've put into the last 5 years will slowly drain away. So Walt Whitman said, keep your face always towards the sunshine, and shadows will fall behind you. Robert Louis Stevenson, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. And that is another great truth. And then we've got spirit and soul. Inspiration is seeing the invisible and believing the unbelievable. That's an anonymous quote. Michel de Montaigne said, the greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. We have to get on with us. I'm with me all the time. I'm going to be with me till the day I die. So I have to like me. And there have been times when I haven't, and I know we all go through those dark nights of the soul. But I'm so glad I was patient with myself and have reached a point in my life where I can allow myself to be myself, and warts and all. So Maya Angelou said, we delight in the beauty of the butterfly. There you go, we're back to butterflies. But rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. And that's true. And then we've got some here which are about letting go and release. Hermann Hesse said, some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes it's letting go. And finally, let's find one more to end with. Actually, this is a nice one. I think actually I did say this one on Sunday, but I'm going to say it again. It's an unknown quote, but it's about transformation and renewal, and I think it is inspirational. Sometimes you don't realize the weight of something you've been carrying until you feel the weight of its release. So there we go. That's what that's about. And is there anything else I want to say before I was having a quick look through my notes, as I do? And I don't think so. Okay, that's it then. Angela Rayner, that's the one I was trying to remember. The Deputy Prime Minister in the United Kingdom who had to step down. I got there in the end. Oh, gosh, she won't be happy that so quickly is she forgotten. Listen, thank you for being there. It's very hot and humid in September in Gozo, and I think September is the month I dislike most. Not in terms of the month itself, but the weather in Gozo and Malta. It's just too hot and humid. So I, for one, will be very glad when it gets a bit cooler, and I really hope that happens soon. Anyway, I will be back on Sunday for the weekly overview live stream at 6 o'clock in the evening. And of course, that will be the weekly Astro Witter. And we will look at the energy for next week. And in the next few days, I will record the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo, and I will get Jerry to upload that. That will probably not be till next week, but I'm going to record that in the next few days. And in the meantime, remember, do all those wonderful things: like, comment, subscribe, share. Apparently commenting and liking is really helpful for the algorithms. The algorithms are all changing. And if you can get friends to like it from another device and things like that, it can help elevate it. So anything like that, I'd be super grateful for. Let's grow our community. You know, you're an awesome lot, and I really do value your support. Thank you so much. And remember, if any of you would like to have a session with me, whether it's a first session, a natal chart reading with transits, or a follow-up, or I do have some people who come on a regular basis once a month. I do a reduced fee for that, and you have to email to ask me about that. And the email is penny@pennydix.com, and the website is pennydix.com. Couldn't be easier than that. In the meantime, thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye for now. Bye.